Thank you, Presiding Officer, and let me start by congratulating the Minister on his brevity. That allows much more time for the backbenchers to express their view on a committee that essentially is a creature of the backbenchers. He's not attached to a particular minister. It represents the people that we represent here in a way that no other committee does to the same extent. I've been here since 2001. From the very outset, I found myself engaged with the Public Petitions Committee, sitting alongside many of my constituents. And I can't think that a single one of them who's come here has been other than delighted with the opportunity to put their case to Parliament, if not always equally delighted with the outcome. Because, of course, when the Public Petitions Committee gets a case, the odds are it's a hard case. Everything else has been tried. They've come to Parliament as a last resort. Now, that's not universally true, but it's certainly true of many of the cases that there will be before us. Jackson Carlaw talked about debates in this Parliament being pedestrian. A quick look at the dictionary showed that there are 41 alternative similar descriptions one could apply. We beat ourselves up an awful lot. But in the Petitions Committee, there's very lively debate and discussion, often initiated by the people who bring their concerns to that committee. So we should look at that as a model of what we can do. It is one way, but not the only way, in which our constituents can engage with us. We, of course, are not typical of the people of Scotland. We are captured and held hostage in Edinburgh for 3 days a week, 36 weeks a year, about a third of the year. So we are, to some extent, disconnected with the day-to-day concerns that constituents and others will bring to the Public Petitions Committee and to us in our surgeries, our correspondence, our websites, our Twitter feeds, and so on and so forth. Now, today's debate has focused on the people who bring petitions, and that's good, because there's always a danger when we're looking at some of our processes that we focus on our internal view of how they are successful in a parliamentary context, whereas the reality is that we have to look at this from an external view and say, how does this serve the people of Scotland? Now, the number of petitions in relation to the population of our country is absolutely infinitesimal. It's 3% of 1% of the population, just a tiny, tiny, tiny wee fraction. Most of my constituents, when I, having exhausted all other options, say, well, why don't we think about a petition to Parliament? I was doing that only on Friday at a surgery. They've never heard of the petition system. And I think that will be true of the overwhelming majority of people in Scotland. So I think we're going to have to be more cute about how we open the doors and make people realise the doors of the Parliament are open. The role of the weekly newspaper, the role of the national daily press is much diminished from what it used to be. Perhaps there should be a weekly slot on one of the television programmes, even if it's on the local TV stations, which are now popping up all over Scotland. We should bid to get some space on there and bring forward what goes on. There's so much you could say about the committee, but I want to just end, Presiding Officer, with saying one particular thing about which there's been some reference, and that is the role of the clerks. Because I think we can't underestimate the value that the clerks' activities in helping people who approach the committee with an idea for a petition turn their idea into something that they can come before the committee and speak to with confidence, knowing that it's properly constructed, proposes something the Parliament can do, and I think it's entirely appropriate that we thank the clerks on behalf of the people of Scotland for the really superb work that they do. This is the most valuable committee in Parliament. Abolish Parliament if you wish, but keep this committee.